I think it's marvellous that we have this terrific family. I wrote a very critical book of Prince Charles 4 years ago, which he hated.
Whispers around the royal family rarely fade, but this time they're growing louder. Author Tom Bower has ignited debate by raising new questions about the identity of the royal children, claims that have sent shockwaves through palace watchers worldwide. What was once dismissed as rumour is now being re-examined under a harsher spotlight, fueled by interviews, timing, and unanswered gaps. Supporters demand clarity, critics cry provocation, and the internet erupts. Are these questions speculation, or do they hint at truths the monarchy works to hide? Tom Bower's questions, no one expected to get louder. Tom Bower has never built a reputation on whispers. For decades, he has walked straight into stories others sidestep, pulling at threads most people are afraid to touch. That history is why his latest claims landed like a shockwave, not as idle chatter, but as a challenge aimed directly at the carefully guarded Sussex narrative. Instead of palace corridors, the questions now echo across television studios, newsrooms, and social feeds. At the centre are Archie and Lilibet, children whose origins were once treated as untouchable. Bower suggests the public story has gaps, not dramatic twists, but quiet inconsistencies that never quite settle. He points to patterns of control, selective detail, and moments that seem rehearsed rather than natural, creating an unease that refuses to fade. The timing could hardly be worse for Prince Harry. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020 and relocating first to Canada, then California, his public image has already endured heavy strain. Once seen as the emotionally open son of Diana, he now faces a far colder question. Was he misled, or was he complicit? Either possibility erodes trust, and neither offers him a graceful escape. What separates this from recycled gossip is the source. Bower's career has been built on documentation, interviews, and persistence. When he raises an issue, he frames it as an invitation to explain, not a verdict. He has hinted at irregularities in records, subtle enough to be ignored by casual observers, yet glaring in events as documented as royal births. In places like London, where protocol is tradition, even minor deviations attract scrutiny. Images have only added fuel. Public appearances during Meghan's pregnancies were tightly managed, every angle polished, every moment released with intention. To supporters, this was protection. To critics, it looked like choreography. Baby bump photographs, in particular, became symbols of suspicion, analysed not for malice, but for meaning. The silence that followed has been loud. As days pass without clarification, speculation hardens into demand. Talk shows revisit the subject. Commentators repeat the same unresolved points. Online debates stretch across time zones, from California mornings to late London nights. What once lived on the fringes is now spoken openly, with fewer people willing to drop the subject. Bower's argument does not rely on sensational claims alone. It rests on accumulation, small, unanswered questions stacked over years, now rearranged into a single, uncomfortable picture. For Harry, the issue cuts beyond reputation or titles. It strikes at identity, fatherhood, and credibility, areas no public figure can afford to leave permanently undefined. And as scrutiny intensifies, each unanswered detail invites deeper examination, ensuring the debate remains active, unresolved, and increasingly difficult for those involved to control or redirect entirely any more publicly. But what did Tom Bower see that others missed? Stay with us to find out. When the story stops adding up, what caught everyone's attention wasn't a single explosive claim, but the quiet realization that the details no longer lined up the way they once did. Revisit the interviews, the carefully staged photographs, the public timelines, and a strange pattern begins to emerge. Nothing is dramatically wrong on its own, yet when those moments are placed side by side, the numbers feel slightly off, just enough to make people pause and look again. This unease has been building for years, long before the Sussexes stepped away from royal life in 2020 or settled into California. Online forums quietly compared dates, viewers rewatched appearances, observers noticed how tightly controlled every pregnancy moment seemed, how few spontaneous interactions slipped through. In a world where royal births are usually documented down to the smallest detail, the gaps felt unusual. What made the murmurs louder was the response, or lack of one. As questions circulated, there was no clear effort to settle them, no simple clarification, no direct explanation. For many, that silence became part of the mystery. Transparency would have ended the discussion quickly, yet instead, the palace and the Sussex camp allowed speculation to breathe and grow. This is where Tom Bower re-enters the conversation. Rather than repeating old online theories, he reframed them with fresh angles and new emphasis. Long dismissed surrogacy whispers, once brushed off as fringe talk after Archie's birth in London, suddenly resurfaced with sharper focus. The discussion shifted from "this sounds absurd" to "why hasn't this been clearly addressed?" But Bower's suggestions don't stop there, and that's where the discomfort deepens. Beyond questions of surrogacy are murmurs of outside involvement, third parties, and even unresolved rumours from Meghan's past that royal staff themselves reportedly struggled to answer. These ideas challenge more than logistics. They challenge the entire image the couple has presented, a love story forged under pressure, children symbolising freedom and a new beginning. For Prince Harry, the impact is especially severe. Since his youth, and particularly after becoming a father, he has shaped his public identity around protecting his children and breaking generational cycles. Fatherhood became his moral anchor, his proof of growth. Now, whispers questioning Archie and Lilibet's biological ties strike directly at that foundation. The timing could hardly be harsher. He is already portrayed as isolated from his family, mocked for following Meghan's lead, and criticised for abandoning royal tradition. Adding doubts about his children's origins turns personal pain into public spectacle. It is no longer just about reputation management or headlines. It becomes a question of legacy, belonging, and how these children fit into a centuries-old institution. Outside palace walls, the discussion refuses to fade. Media outlets revisit the topic. Social platforms dissect each claim. The longer the questions linger unanswered, the more entrenched they become. And with every revisit, the story grows heavier, less dismissible, and far harder for those at the centre to contain or redirect. So how did Prince Harry end up trapped between fatherhood and fallout? Keep watching to find out. When the spotlight becomes a cage. Once upon a time, the public saw a prince shaped by service and struggle, someone defined by duty, loss, and defiance. That image now feels distant, almost unrecognisable, as questions stack higher than explanations. What makes this moment so unforgiving is that there is no version of events where Harry emerges untouched. If he was unaware of what was unfolding around him, he looked naive. If he understood it all, he would look dishonest. Either way, the cost lands squarely on his credibility. The pressure does not exist in a vacuum. Since stepping back from royal life in 2020 and resettling in California, financial reality has tightened its grip. The Netflix deal, signed with great fanfare, is no longer optional leverage, but a lifeline. According to critics like Tom Bower, money was always central to the plan, driven by expectations of royal wealth that never truly existed. The idea of marrying into limitless riches collapsed once the titles were stripped of funding, forcing a scramble to replace fantasy with revenue. That scramble explains why walking away is impossible. Contracts demand output. Streaming platforms expect access, emotion, and controversy. Every chapter of their lives must now be shaped into watchable material, whether it damages them or not. Privacy, once the rallying cry, became a luxury they traded for stability. The result is a trap of their own making, where silence threatens income and exposure threatens reputation. As rumours swirl about their children, the stakes rise even higher. These are not distant scandals that can be reframed as misunderstandings. They strike at identity, legacy, and belonging. For Harry, fatherhood was meant to be redemption, a promise that he would do better than the generations before. Now, that promise is being questioned publicly, dissected by strangers, and replayed across headlines that never seem to rest. Behind closed doors in Montecito, the strain reportedly shows. Insiders describe a man consumed by anxiety, pacing rooms, snapping at staff, and refreshing screens for the latest mention of his family. Hours disappear into monitoring commentary, reading speculation, and anticipating the next blow. It is a sharp contrast to the calm advocate who once spoke openly about therapy, resilience, and emotional honesty. The irony is difficult to ignore. Years were spent urging others to seek help and confront trauma directly. Now, when his own narrative begins to fracture, the tools he promoted seem insufficient against the scale of the scrutiny. Each allegation, whether proven or not, adds another layer to a crisis already stretched thin by isolation from family and constant public judgment. Meghan's response appears markedly different. Where he unravels, she calculates, strategy replaces emotion. Public messaging stays polished, future projects quietly positioned, and alliances carefully maintained. While Harry obsesses over every headline, Meghan looks ahead, mapping outcomes and controlling damage. It is not warmth or cruelty, but control that defines her posture in this storm. Two people facing the same collapse, reacting in opposite ways, bound together by contracts, children, and a story that can no longer be paused. The cameras may not always be present, but the obligation to perform never truly leaves, especially when relevance itself has become the most valuable currency they possess. And with every passing week, the balance grows more unstable, as obligation, image, and survival pull in different directions, leaving little room for retreat. Each decision feeds another headline, each reaction sparks another cycle, and the narrative continues to stretch, reshaped by pressure, expectation, and the unrelenting demand to keep moving forward as questions remain open and answers stay unreachable still. But who's really in control now? Meghan Markle or the chaos around them? Stay with us to find out. Control, distance, and the children in between. When pressure crashes down, the difference between them becomes impossible to miss. One partner absorbs the noise in silence, planning moves ahead, while the other reacts in real time, worn down by every headline. Sources describe Meghan as steady and focused, already shaping responses and long-term positioning. Harry, by contrast, appears consumed by the moment, anxious and exposed. It is not simply a personality clash. It is a window into who takes command when things begin to unravel, and who struggles to stay upright. That imbalance feeds an old public narrative that has followed them since 2020, when they left royal duties and settled first in Canada, then California. Critics see control on one side and dependence on the other, a dynamic that looks harsher during crisis. For someone already mocked as directionless and overshadowed, the optics are brutal. Each insider whisper seems to confirm what skeptics claim: he is not steering events, merely reacting to them. Look beyond the couple, and another contrast becomes unavoidable, this time involving their children. In Britain, the presence of Prince William's children is constant and visible. George, Charlotte, and Louis appear alongside senior royals at birthdays, ceremonies, and informal moments. Their place within the family is reinforced through repetition and proximity. It is what continuity looks like inside the monarchy. Archie and Lilibet occupy a different space entirely. Public sightings with senior royals are rare to non-existent. There are no familiar images, no shared balcony moments, no steady visual record tying them into the institution. The absence is so consistent it no longer feels accidental. Observers argue this distance is deliberate, a quiet form of risk management rather than neglect. Behind palace walls, caution reportedly outweighs sentiment. If rumours surrounding surrogacy or biological parentage ever gain substance, the consequences would be severe. By limiting visibility and emotional investment now, the institution shields itself from future reversals. Fewer photographs mean fewer explanations later. From a strategic standpoint, it is a protective buffer designed to contain potential fallout. This approach may appear cold, especially when children are involved, but the monarchy has always prioritised survival over comfort. The memory of past scandals still shapes present decisions. Maintaining distance keeps uncertainty from spreading inward. It also prevents Harry and Meghan's choices from pulling the wider family into controversies they did not initiate. The message is subtle yet unmistakable. The children are not rejected, but they are not embraced either. It is a calculated middle position, offering acknowledgement without intimacy. Those closest to the situation believe both parents notice the difference keenly, even if neither can publicly challenge it without reopening deeper disputes. Tom Bower's role in amplifying these discussions matters because of his reputation for digging where others stop. His work reframes long-running whispers into questions that sound less speculative and more procedural. When he highlights contrasts in treatment, it sharpens public focus on patterns many had already sensed, but struggled to articulate. For Harry, the emotional toll is compounded by this silent separation. Fatherhood was meant to anchor him, to provide meaning beyond titles and rank. Watching his children remain on the margins of the family he left behind deepens the strain. It reinforces the idea that choices made years ago continue to echo in unexpected ways. Meghan's response appears cooler and more measured. While he feels the sting personally, she treats the situation as a problem to be managed rather than a wound to be felt. Strategy replaces sentiment, and distance becomes a tool rather than a loss. Both instincts shape outcomes under relentless public pressure today. But as Harry absorbs the strain and Meghan recalibrates, one question keeps circling them both. What proof should have been enough to silence it all? Let's find out. The demands. So this is where the noise sharpens into a single demand, louder than the rest and impossible to miss. Across comment sections, talk shows, and opinion columns, the same phrase keeps resurfacing. DNA testing. What began as fringe chatter has crossed into everyday conversation, pulling in people who normally ignore royal drama altogether. By 2024, the question stopped sounding conspiratorial and started sounding procedural. The logic driving it is blunt. If nothing about the children's origins is questionable, proof would end the debate in one stroke. Articles lay out the argument plainly. Broadcasters devote segments to it, and social feeds recycle the same refrain. Show the results, end the speculation, move on. It is not framed as punishment, but as closure. What keeps the issue alive is not just rumour, but silence. Since the earliest whispers following Archie's birth in London in 2019, and later Lilibet's arrival in California in 2021, there has been no direct response to the testing question. No denial, no explanation, not even acknowledgement that the demand exists. Each passing day without comment becomes part of the story itself. From the public's perspective, the quiet feels unnatural. When people face accusations and have an easy way to settle them, they usually take it. Ignoring the claims rarely makes them disappear. Instead, it invites interpretation, and interpretation often hardens into suspicion. Fair or not, that is how public narratives work once momentum builds. The discussion has also shifted in tone. Early debates fixated on photographs, timelines, and appearances. Now the focus is narrower and more decisive. One test could confirm biological ties and collapse entire theories overnight. Critics would have little left to argue, and supporters could point to evidence rather than belief. Yet that step has not been taken, and observers keep asking why. Choosing endurance over resolution appears costly. Reputations absorb repeated hits, headlines multiply, and casual curiosity turns into doubt. Even those inclined to give the benefit of the doubt begin to wonder what outcome is being avoided. Social media amplifies this dynamic relentlessly. Each new post, clip, or article loops back to the same challenge, gathering new voices along the way. It is no longer driven by tabloids alone, but by ordinary viewers repeating a simple request. Test them, clarify it, close the chapter. What makes the moment volatile is that the demand feeds on itself. Silence generates suspicion, suspicion fuels coverage, and coverage renews the demand. The longer it stretches on, the less it resembles gossip, and the more it feels like an unanswered administrative question, hanging in public view, waiting for a response that has yet to arrive. That pressure is intensified by repetition across platforms and borders, from morning radio in Britain to late-night panels in the United States. Each retelling strips nuance and leaves only the request. As names trend and clips circulate, neutrality erodes, patience thins, and the unanswered question grows heavier with every cycle until attention locks in and refuses to drift elsewhere again today. So, as the pressure tightens and silence stretches on, Did Tom Bower ignite a question that can't be buried anymore? Stay with us. A question that refuses to fade. What has been set in motion feels larger than another fleeting controversy. This moment has teeth, and it shows no sign of loosening its grip. When Tom Bower turned his attention to Archie and Lilibet, he shifted the entire Sussex narrative onto ground that public relations cannot easily smooth over. Questions about children are different. They linger, echo, and resist tidy explanations. This strain lands hardest on Harry. Sources describe a man trapped inside a story he cannot redirect, facing a level of public embarrassment unlike anything before. Past storms came and went. The 2021 Oprah interview, the Netflix series, the memoir, even the family rifts eventually slid out of the spotlight. This does not behave the same way because it touches fatherhood, identity, and trust all at once. Archie and Lilibet were meant to symbolise renewal after the 2020 break from royal life, proof that a fresh beginning was possible outside palace walls. Instead, they now sit at the centre of uncertainty. Rather than representing freedom, they have become the unanswered question, shaping every interview, every appearance, every carefully framed image. What makes this moment so heavy is its permanence. Doubts about origin and truth do not fade with time. They embed themselves into the record. They change how every earlier statement is heard and how every future claim is judged. Silence, rather than calming the situation, sharpens it. In London, where royal history is measured in generations, this uncertainty carries particular weight. Observers already wonder how these children will be positioned as they grow older, and whether distance will harden into definition. The royal family's careful reserve only deepens that sense of suspension. Bower's intervention did not close a chapter. It cracked one open. It reframed the Sussex story away from choice and toward consequence. What remains unresolved now overshadows charity work, advocacy, and past explanations, leaving a cloud that refuses to settle. So, what do you think? Should silence continue, or would clarity end the speculation, haunting Harry and Meghan, stepping back from life? We'd like to hear your thoughts below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.